Let's go.
Welcome to The Integrative Edge, your go-to podcast for fresh perspectives on holistic health and functional movement. Join us as we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably.
I'm Kelly Demers, founder of the Integrative Wellness Coalition and the owner of True North Performance.
I'm Lindsay Seefeld, doctor of physical therapy and owner and operator of Uplifted Oncology Rehab.
I'm Dr. Kimberly Klimek, licensed pharmacist and owner of Innate Healing and Performance.
You can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Welcome back to the Integrative Edge, your podcast where we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably. I'm your host, Kelly Demers, and as always, joined by my two amazing co-hosts, Dr. Lindsay Seefeld and Dr. Kim Klimek. Always good to sit down and have these conversations with you. Today's episode is something that's becoming more of a buzzword. It is becoming the future of medicine, and that is prevention. We're going to take a little step, a little further down the road here today and look at why prevention is the new medicine. And what we're seeing from our own professional lens, working with clients in real time, there is a huge shift happening. And I think about national companies like Hinge Health, which is a musculoskeletal organization, and Maven Clinic that specializes in infertility. And the reason I bring these up is because both companies have found that creating interdisciplinary teams that bring together a doctor and a physical therapist and a health coach are really the better way to treat the whole person, not just the symptom. And why I bring those up is because that's the trend that we're seeing. And it's a positive trend because we're starting to see that healthcare is evolving, right? I mean, we're getting into that functional medicine space. We're getting into people talking about really, one, wanting to be healthy and then taking steps towards being healthy. And that's really the way that we've structured things here at the Innovative Edge, this podcast where we've got physical therapy, we've got health coaching, and we've got functional medicine, these different disciplines at the table. But the results really come when these disciplines all work together in support of the client. So let's dig in. Kim, from your perspective in functional medicine, why is prevention such a powerful yet underutilized tool in the healthcare system today?
Yeah, and it's important to point out that we are just seeing this rise in chronic illness for people just earlier and earlier right now, right? It's just like the explosion of autoimmune diseases, like hormonal imbalances, especially in women younger and younger now, unexplained medical conditions, right? Metabolic dysfunction, right? We literally have companies wanting to give children injections, for obesity and things like that. This is not okay, right? So we have to start looking at these key factors as to what's causing this in our society and address these things. And from a functional medicine lens, yes, we focus on a lot of that. We focus on prevention. Prevention is the big keyword here today, is that you don't have to wait until all these conditions consume your life or get worse and worse, or that you're officially now all of a sudden your blood work is so bad that now we have to take action. Your body gives you all these signs and signals and clues well before it's even in that stage. And we're just here to encourage you to listen to your body, I would say, first of all. And we can kind of dive into some of those things and topics as well, and just focusing on prevention.
Lindsay, I'd like to hear your take. Physical therapy has always had a foot in the rehab world. But what we're hearing now is more about prehab and wellness-based care. What does prevention look like through your lens?
Yeah, I definitely feel when I first started 17 years ago in the world, everything was, rehabilitation. We're gonna work after you have the injury, after you have the surgery. And, I definitely, that's important, but what are we doing to help prevent those from happening in the first place? And, I definitely have seen the changes over the years where, we're educating patients ahead of time, what to expect and all that kind of stuff. But this this preventative world has really driven me to branch off on my own because, the traditional healthcare system for the physical therapy is very insurance driven, and insurance makes money when we're sick or unhealthy, right? And so, the good old insurance world, you have to have the disease, the injury, to help rehabilitate, but then when you get to a certain point, then you're done. But it's so important to have that preventative side, because when you're starting to see kind of the downfall of certain things, or you're starting to see little minor injuries, or you're starting to have these illnesses, it's so important to tap into that preventative side, because it could completely shift your outcome and just your health, your well-being, your lifestyle, and all that.
Right. Kim had touched on it before, saying we're starting to see the rise of these more acute conditions. So it's interesting, because at the same time, we're seeing more and more conditions coming out, and patients being younger and younger. We are also seeing this rise where people want to live optimally. And so they're really faced with, you touched on insurance. And so you've got insurance on one side that's saying, well, I'm going to wait till things get bad, and then I'm going to have to pay for it, and I'm sick. Or you can people are willing to say, listen, I'm going to go outside of the insurance realm, and I'm going to pay for those services of a physical therapist or a functional medicine or a health coach, so that if I'm going to pay the money, why wouldn't I pay the money before something goes wrong, so that I can live optimally, versus waiting until something happens and then I got to feel like crap first, then I have to pay the money anyways, and they're going to fix what, the one ailment that, quite honestly, maybe they fix, and maybe it leads to another ailment, right? So
for me, prevention is all about education and ownership, taking that next step, because you trust your body so much, and your body the best, right? Your body the best. I tell people that all the time. So part of my job is to help with that education component, right? And that's from the functional medicine lens, we're looking at different labs. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. We're looking at different labs and insults to the body. We're looking at your toxin load. We're looking at your hormone levels. We're looking at full thyroid optimization, your gut, your microbiome health, all those key factors that never get addressed from the conventional medical lens. And again, it's often the phrases oh, all your labs look normal, even though you don't feel good, and it's not normal, and you have all these little signals that your body's giving you. And so we're in this space. So many of us wellness practitioners and providers are in this space to allow you to feel safe and for you to feel seen and heard and recognized. And we're here to provide you the direct, pathway, the education and the empowerment to help you get on the right track.
Yeah. And I think that's where the future of preventative medicine is going, right? Where you've got those interdisciplinary teams where, We've got the physical therapist coming together with the functional medicine, communicating, putting together the strategy, and then the health coach really helping implement those strategies so that people can live optimally and feel what that feels like, because so many of them don't. I'm going to kick this off to Kim first. Can you share an example of a client where prevention or early intervention made a difference, and maybe it could be maybe even someone that avoided a more serious health condition because they were able to intersect with you prior?
Yeah, I feel like I go back to this a lot, but it's definitely a lot of the fertility clients. Some of them are learning and they come in and they're just oh, okay, I see this happening to my friends and my family. I see the infertility struggles. I see the miscarriages. I am ready to start trying for a baby, but I just want to get my body right so that I can create that space and that environment for my baby to thrive and nourish and grow. And like, that's where prevention comes in. Like, so we look at things, and especially for women looking at their full hormone picture. And I identify primarily for them because of, again, a lot of us experience stress. For a very specific example that I'll give is like, a lot of them come in with progesterone deficiency, like time and time again. It's like 80%, honestly, of like the clients I see. And that is prevention in itself, because if you go into the pregnancy not supported or trying for pregnancy, right, you're going to have all these fertility struggles and these challenges, and then be at risk for miscarriage again with that particular low level, and then like not optimize like thyroid function and stuff. So to me, that is a very particular example for prevention, and I see that a lot in my practice.
Lindsay, I feel like we're going to have to unpack some stuff with yours, because your prevention looks different, right? So when you hear Kim talk about her stories about preventive medicine around, pre-family planning, when you look at your clientele, what stories come to mind, and what were you able to catch something early or guide someone back from a more serious condition?
Yeah. So honestly, this is how my whole career is really like stems. So, I'm in the lymphatic health, I'm in the oncology health as well. And, when I first started my practice, I went in thinking like, oncology, like I love helping the oncology patient, like through the journey, after the journey. It was so beautiful. And that's exactly what I wanted to do when I opened my own clinic. This is who I was going to help. But then, I'm like, people are reaching out to me like, just, Lindsay, do you do preventative stuff? Do you do stuff for like helping prevent cancer? And I'm like, you know what? Well, everything I've been taught and that I do for the cancer patient, this hands down is going to help the preventative side. And so, this is really morphed into, like I just thrive on the preventative health, and it's completely changed my scope of practice. Not that I still assist with oncology patients, but so breast health is so incredibly important, near and dear to me. I've worked with hundreds of women going through breast cancer. I mean, 1 in 8, that's our statistic, will develop breast cancer in their life. That's 13% of us in the United States. And it's like, okay, what can we do to kind of help support this women through this journey? And it's so much like, peeling back the layers. We've got to look at all the different levels at, okay, how are we screening? I'm a big component with thermography, which thermography is basically a thermal image of your body, and it can really tell us and paint us a picture. Where are you having this inflammation? And then, taking that thermography and then, just kind of, okay, we've got this area to work on, whether it's lymphatic health. Okay, then we're going to dive into, mental health. We're going to talk about toxins. We're going to talk about gut health. And it's just like peeling back the layers to help create a very well overall lifestyle change. And that in itself has changed so many women. I've seen women come to me with, like breast cysts, and they have had multiple biopsies because they're very concerned that this area is going to turn into cancer. And, I've seen women come to me that have changed their lifestyle, have been doing the things that we talked about, having me work on them. I mean, we've seen significant changes where that cyst is completely gone and they're feeling better, they're doing better. So, in my mind, it's hard, obviously I like to say, yeah, we're preventing cancer, which, sure. But I think that's just beautiful. And I'm so excited to see where this journey is going to continue to take me, because I think more and more people are wanting to take that journey and seeing, especially with we're as a society, I think more unwell, like with the exposures, the foods, and I think people are seeing, family members, oh, they're just not moving as well. They got all these sicknesses, they're developing these cancers. And I think people are seeing this and noticing, and honestly, social media, I think, is a huge part of it. I think people are educating themselves and well, hell, I don't want this. Like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like, gosh, there's people out there that can help me with this. So I really feel people are really empowering themselves and like saying no, like we can do better than this.
And I think sometimes you see those stories and they're so relatable that it's like there's 1 degree difference between that person and me. What can I do proactively to better my health and to really focus on living optimal? You know, we don't have to wait until things break down to start taking action. And I think that's kind of the genesis of this podcast. When we look at things from our lens, from each individual at the table here, when we think about putting a preventive routine together, or you think about preventive, you know, I think about preventive medicine, and I'll put medicine in quotes because we're not doling out, you know, prescriptions here, or supplements, but ours is a prescriptive movement, and those types of things. I would like to do a roundtable quickly about what does prevention look like to you, and it could be supplementation, it could be lifestyle, it could be. I'll let you just take it and run.
Yeah, and to what Lindsay said too is like people are seeing this and it's like a glimpse into the future, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you like
For
looking
sure.
around and saying, oh, okay, like this is just something that I'm going to have to deal with when I get older? Or are you saying, no, like I'm going to do something now that can change the trajectory of this outcome for me? And that's the space we're in right now with a lot of individuals. And it's super inspiring to me because like I have clients who are like young in their teens and 20s. And yes, they actually are struggling with some of these like chronic health conditions, but they're already taking action. So that's what's super beautiful about it. But yeah, like you said, some of the things like lifestyle wise, it's like, yeah, supporting your body. I mean, yes, in the functional space, we optimize and utilize like professional grade supplements. I would say that is something that I do pretty consistently with my practice, mostly when I'm working on gut microbiome restoration, because that can be the challenging area where some of the supplementation can really support the body. But nutrient deficiencies and micronutrient deficiencies are huge right now. And yes, you should primarily be getting a lot of that sourcing from whole foods, good, clean foods. Like, seriously, if you're going to put your money anywhere, it's like getting your own quality sourcing of foods. And that includes like quality sourced dairy products and grass-fed like meats and things like that. Have a little garden if you can, like do something little, right? And those are just definitely like underlying things you want to be looking at. Insulin resistance all day, like blood sugar regulation. That's something you have control over. You have so much control over it. It's the lifestyle choices that you're making. And it is a decision. It's a hands down, a day-to-day decision that you make every single day that you're going to support your body with these things. Because yeah, a lot of the like functional like podcasts and stuff out there, they will tell you all day that the root to all chronic disease is literally like blood sugar dysregulation in your body, which can be driven by many factors, right? Like not eating properly, skipping meals. It can also be related to gut health. Like you can have spikes in your glucose based on imbalances in your microbiome. And then the fast-paced world that we're living in, right, lends us to people to not eat regularly and consistently and not enough fiber and healthy fats. So those are still going to be at the heart and center every single day when you're working on prevention strategies. And obviously some of the things like that I do in my practice, we take it to an extra level sometimes if you're dealing with it's not the fun or the fancy part of functional medicine, I would say, but like some people, if you're pretty bogged down and you're feeling these symptoms, there can be like too much toxin load on the body, and we have to eliminate that. And it's different for every single person, what they might be struggling with, because some of the functional testing, like that helps us, that data helps drive what's going on, and it helps the healing process better. But I just think to myself too, like prevention is like identifying these signs and symptoms that you know are not right away, before you even get a diagnosis, before you get something that requires a prescription medication. Like it's like, are you dealing with brain fog every day? Are your energy levels low throughout the day? You're dealing with IBS. you're dealing with, you can't move, right? You got pain, you got other like limitations, like all those are just huge red flags, and those can be addressed through prevention.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, it's so much. I mean, everybody is different, but you know you the best, right? You are the best person to know yourself. You know where like, okay, this is off. You know, this is not right, and you know, like that's where you start. You know, like in having an assessment with a provider and kind of meeting where you're at, and sometimes it might not be with me right away. You know, sometimes as you're assessing somebody, and you know what, like I have somebody that you need to be working with first, you know, there's definitely different levels that you need for that prevention. And, you know, sometimes you don't get it right. Sometimes you're working with somebody and, you know, Lindsay, I'm still feeling like crap and it's still not working. You know, okay, we got to dive a little bit deeper, and, you know, whether it's, you know, seeking somebody else that maybe has a little bit more in depth or can do some different types of testing. And so like, that's the beautiful thing about like this just holistic professionalism that we have going on, that, I mean, we're all in it to help you get better and achieve your goals, your specific goals. And you're different. Everybody's different. And we need to dive in deeper. We can start at a point, but you know, this is a process. This is, you know, sometimes like if you've been dealing with some of this issues for a long period of time, you're not going to solve this overnight. This is going to take time. And so it's so important to, you know, start at a place where we think we need to start, but then, you know, kind of branching off and just kind of continuing the process.
For sure. And so much of this is not a quick fix. So when we look at people that are coming in to the facility here, we talk about lifestyle habits in the most granular way. Getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night is super important for hormone balance and nervous system regulation and cortisol balance. All of those things are really coming from a good quality night's sleep. And then adding to that, Kim had touched on it, diet, making sure that you're getting those nutrients and that you're drinking enough water every day and that you're doing those things that support a healthy diet. Stress management cannot be overlooked. You know, we talked about all the things that cortisol can impact, not only from a functional movement standpoint, but from a movement and physical therapy standpoint in exacerbating pain and illness. Stress management can be regulated with something as small as breath work. You know, when I say as small as, it seems it's not small, it is simple. And so I think because it is simple, people tend to poo-poo it, and it is just a rock star thing in the prevention toolkit. So I always go back to sleep, diet, and stress as really, when I look at foundational movements, I think as a public, we tend to, where's the pill? Where is the thing that I can take? There's a silver bullet out here that I know I can do. And it really starts with you wanting to be healthy, taking those steps. And prevention starts with, honestly, getting sleep, regulating that stress level, eating a quality diet. If things don't feel off, or you feel like, you know what, I think I've got a little bit more to give here, then that's when you start to reach out to the Lindsays of the world and the Kims of the world and really start to add to that picture.
And let's be mindful too. Is like you can't out supplement these things too. Like I love that you said that. Like people want to just poo poo the stress element, because I would say it's literally the most challenging part of my job is when I see like the actual, like as I physically have the data of like their cortisol patterns and these points on a page, and I'm just like, okay, our goal here is not to chase every little lab point, right? I'm not going to give you an adaptogen to shoot your cortisol up here and then bring it down here. Like the overall picture here is like, we need to focus on stress management and regulation. Yes, like the adaptogens and the things that we talk about in the other episodes are important. They can be used as tools, but don't be sitting there at home and just being like, well, I'm going to keep doing this fast-paced lifestyle and do all this, but I'm going to take my adaptogens. Like they're not going to work.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Those things are not going to work, and you're still just going to wind up in the same like place that you are at the beginning. Because at the end of the day, yes, you can't out supplement the lifestyle changes. Like they still need to occur.
Yeah.
And to what Lindsay said too is like, I think you need these different elements of like integrative health at different points in your life. Like you may not need my help right now, but you need Lindsay's help right now because it's the primary focus and it's the first and the foremost things. And maybe we just need foundations first before we're even able to like dive into even, I think, some of the functional testing too for people, because I got to say, whoa, we got to backtrack here and still, first and foremost, we got to be working on these foundations for 4 to 6 weeks before we can even begin this kind of deep dive, get your body in the right place and the right mindset and be ready. Because otherwise it's just going to be another layer, added layer of stress, honestly.
For sure. I think about, one of the takeaways is it's not just about preventing disease. It's talking about preserving your energy levels and enhancing your quality of life and really maximizing your potential. It can take a team at times, right? I mean, we don't all have to be together all the time, but the important thing is that there's communication around that team, because it does take people who care and who want to get curious about taking those next steps. It does take time, but it is absolutely worth it.
I wanted to point out too, something that I think about for prevention too is like, yes, labs are important, and they always say like labs don't lie. But honestly, the other thing too is like the interpretation of your labs matters as well. Because I see a lot of clients, like they come in and then they're just like, oh yeah, my doctor said this was like normal because it's in this little reference range that was made by conventional medicine. And again, like this is literally a reference range that is made from primarily sick people. So here's a fun fact for you. Each lab, like, because people want to know, like I do teach them about like optimal levels of labs, and it's basically going to vary depending on because each lab company uses different like reference ranges. So yeah, you're cutting off like 25% from that bottom reference range, 25% from the top reference range, whatever lab company you get labs from, okay? They're all different. Quest Labs, LabCorp, Access Medical Labs, all these private ones, maybe your conventional practices. But if you're literally scraping by on that spectrum, but you fall within the normal range and you're still symptomatic, like you're getting poor interpretation of your labs. Time and time again, I've seen it over and over and over again. So also that's prevention right there of identifying that like, yes, because I've seen that actually so much for thyroid labs, man. I could tell you like if I had, a dime for every time that's happened for people. Oh, they said my labs are normal and my thyroid stimulating lab marker is good. And I'm like, oh, that's it? That's all they're measuring? Right. But you're over here on the paper telling me XYZ, like all these symptoms still going on, then we're not really in the prevention space at all right now.
And to Lindsay's point earlier about being on Google, and then to Kim, your point about the number of labs that are available. I mean, you can go online and literally I could get 10 lab tests sent to me tomorrow, right? And I'm taking all these labs, but they don't give me the doctor they give me a lab report.
Oh, that's
point, right? So now, me who has no medicine background, here I go interpreting my own labs and putting together my preventative plan, which sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, but that is absolutely what's happening. Especially, we had talked about earlier where you're seeing it on social media. Oh, that person, that happened to them. It's not going to happen to me. So I'm going to, WebMD all of my symptoms and then put together a chart of all the labs that I need and order them from.
Which Lindsay's probably seen that. Everybody thinks they have cancer when they go on WebMD.
Yes, right? Yes.
It's a cold, settle down. Yeah. But it is interesting. I mean, you can order these labs from all over, and I have to laugh because there is a lab called Lab One.
Sure. I don't know. I've seen all kinds of things.
Like it's a big lab company. It's Lab One, and I thought it was Labone. It is not. Lab One.
Lab One.
It is interesting. My point being is that there's a million labs out there, companies willing to take your money. If you are curious enough to take next steps, please do it with a professional that you know and can trust and that can help you not only take the lab, but make sense of it, because data's great if you know how to use it.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too about that, guys, is like, yep, I've had many clients come into the practice and then they're feeling, I would say like sometimes there's feeling restricted regarding like finances and things, but they've already spent $500, $600, $700 on just like purchasing random like tests from companies. And then they're like, will you take my test and interpret it? And I'm just like, oh, see, my training is here with these particular, I think there's so many tests out there, right? But like I've actually dedicated years of my life to being able to understand the most optimal like functional testing, even that I utilize in my practice. But again, when you purchase some of those companies, and again, I'm not just saying this out of a whimsical, I'm not just saying this to be like, you need to come to my practice kind of thing. It's like, think about this, like it's a robot, you guys, AI, like they're literally taking your labs and just saying, okay, we don't really have all this background health information or your whole health history, your journey, which is what we do in a consultation and a visit, and identifying like priority concerns. Here's these labs that we see. It is just very like, we're going to put together these micronutrients in this type of supplement, and this is what you need, these type of supplements, and they order it. So many people literally tell me they do not benefit from that. And then they're like, I think I need this. I think I need genetics. I mean, genetic stuff, people, that's even like a whole next level. Okay. Like you can still be doing so much foundations before you even like spend hundreds of dollars on that. Cause I've seen that the company is like, the genetics is your problem. You get your blood work and we're going to tell you what supplements you need. Like, I've seen this time and time again, and it's not the route. And nowadays, there's a lot of actually practice marketing. Yeah,
like, for sure. I do laugh so hard because I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is where I come in again. Marketer's dream, right? So the lab work, the supplement market on preventive stuff, things that you need to stave off dementia or cancer or name it. There's a million conditions, so I've got, a supplement cabinet that's embarrassing. But when we talk about spending money, people won't like, I don't want to spend $1,000 to go, to get this full assessment and whatever, but it's death by $30, right? I've got a $30 liposomal whatever packet of whatever. And then I've got this, and I've got 3 different types of magnesium. Don't know what they're for. Don't know what I should take them. Like D3 and K2. I'm taking that on an empty stomach instead of, I'm just like all the things that you maybe shouldn't be doing, you're taking, you shouldn't be, or you're taking at the wrong dose, or you're taking at the wrong time with the wrong food, whatever. You're better off spending the money, investing, and really understanding that there are things that you need and things that you don't.
Mm-hmm. And then like a journey too, like this is a journey. So you get all that results, you start taking things, but then, you're going to change, you're going to adapt, things are going to adjust, or you're going to not respond as well to something. Point. So you got to have that individual, I think, to kind of help, let's scale back a little bit on this, or, okay, we need to boost this up a little bit. So it's just definitely not cookie cutter. It's not like, okay, here are the labs, here are the pills, like, here you go. It definitely, there's tweaking and things that you'll be able to adjust.
There's even like, because I think functional medicine too can get a bad rep for that, right? It's just like, here you go. You have access to like buying your own lab work. Nobody knows how to interpret it. Let me tell you that, unless you're like a healthcare provider who's spent 10 years or whatever. Like I've gone to grad school to help understand all this stuff, like the pathophysiology, all that stuff. And that's what's frustrating too, is like someone will buy a lab and then they'll come in like, I had this lab work done 2 years ago. This is not relevant. Like your body changes. Right. But what I think about too with prevention is like this kind of stuff, like what we're talking about here today, changes the trajectory of your life for years to come. It 100%. Literally puts you on the right path to healing, to like I can't guarantee, right? But I literally believe in my heart and soul that like there isn't a person that starts to walks this journey with us on all these elements that we're talking that doesn't get wins, okay? Whether they're small wins, little wins here and there, and they build into the big wins, and then you finally achieve your goal, right? Whether it's a couple like weeks, months down the road or whatever it is. Because I was like, the other day I'm like looking at medical bills and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. I think for 8 years of my life, I was, when I was going down the little conventional merry-go-round of all the testing and the gut testing and the hormone stuff, every year, $2,000 to $3,000 deductible every year. And I was like, oh, I have to meet my deductible so then I can get this next test. What I wouldn't have given to just spend that $3,000 doing this stuff right here, which would have saved me 8 years of misery. But people don't see it like that. You're always trying to like justify something. And it's just like, you got to shift your mindset and just realize that doing this, maybe this path or this investment now is literally going to save you years of banging your head against the wall.
For sure. And I think it's such a great point when we talk about prevention as the new medicine. As the body adapts, we do need to change in order to continue to drive optimal health results. We do need to change. And so having that team that is working with you on preventive measures is going to make those adaptations or make those adjustments as you make adaptations, right? They're making adjustments as you go along so that you can live optimally. And I think that's so important. Final thoughts as far as things that people, when we talk about prevention, things that you want them to walk away with.
It's like, to me, I feel like it's a layer, like, start someplace, right? Like, and, change and adapt. And this will be a tremendous, like, investment in your life, your health, like best quality of life possible is starting here and branching off.
Absolutely.
Big point is prevention is medicine. Like empowered patients and clients, you just make better choices. And we are seeing our clients thrive if they're given the right data, the right tools, and the right support system.
Absolutely. When people feel empowered, they can make decisions. And we've talked about this. When people feel empowered and they have access to the tools and resources they need, they can make decisions that are based from a corner of self-care and care and optimization versus fear of something. It does take a team, and I'm happy that we're on this team together. So if you're listening and something clicked for you today, please send this episode to a friend. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review. If you have topics that you would like us to see cover on an upcoming episode, feel free to shoot those over to info@theintegrativeedge.com. Otherwise, we will see you next time.